Thank you. Thank you guys for making the effort to get up this morning. I really appreciate it, and I appreciate the change in schedule. So what I want to do with you guys today is talk a little bit about couples, working with couples, because when there's two people in the room, it's very different to when it's just a one-on-one relationship. Because you're not just building rapport with one person, you've got that other person and the third person in between the two of them, that space. So I want to talk a little bit about the first assessment, what happens when they present, the different types of couples that can come in, and then talk a little bit about bringing sexuality into it. My name is Margo. I'm based in New Zealand. I work with relationships and I work with sex therapy predominantly. I got introduced to hypnotherapy. I was in my early 20s. It was through a stage hypnosis show, actually. I was in college. I was in college and I was watching a person that I played rugby with on the stage. And she was driving cars and she was freezing, and I thought, there's no way she's faking that. At the same time, I wanted to stop smoking. Tried everything myself to stop, and I couldn't. Tried hypnotherapy. I think it was on a Tuesday. That following Saturday, I couldn't stand the smell of cigarettes. Couldn't understand how anybody could smoke. It's disgusting. Ugh. So that planted a seed. This is something I have to learn about. I want to know how this works. I initially trained as an accountant and then went back to college and retrained as a counsellor and sex therapist. The most common issues I see when couples present are, number one, communication and connection. So we had a baby 2 years ago, or we're both working professionals, or one person is working 80 hours a week, or one person is working overseas and the other person is at home with the 3 or 4 kids. I see a lot of betrayal of trust, infidelity, gambling, addiction work. And sometimes couples come in where one person has already decided to exit the relationship when we're looking at transitioning into a different type of relationship. So I thought I'd start by talking about what is great sex. So Peggy Kleinpatz, she's a clinical psychologist in Ontario in Canada. She's been there for 20 years. She did a study whereby she interviewed 65 people. 25 of those had an average age of 65. There were 19 from minorities. And she found that the number one thing that contributed to good sex was being present, being in your body in the moment. Because remember, we can be in 6 places at any one time, yeah? So we can be in the past, ruminating about our past negative sexual experience, how bad it was, or how it didn't orgasm, or how that we got that failed erection. We can ruminate over and over. We can be in the past positive, where we can use a fantasy from the past, which can help us in that present moment to perhaps get arousal or desire started. We can be in the future negative, worried about anxiety. What if this doesn't happen? What if that doesn't happen? Does my bum look big in this? Am I going to take too long? And we can be in the past positive, or we can be in the now. So we want that number one thing, being present, being embodied, being in the now. I use a lot of mindfulness in my work, tuning into your body, feeling those sensations, what feels good, increasing those sensations. Number 2 was connection with a lover. It doesn't, remember, sex doesn't necessarily have to be penetrative, penile, vaginal penetration. There's somebody called Rafe Biggs. I don't know if anybody has heard of him. So he is a quadriplegic, but he can have an orgasm from his thumb. Erotic intimacy. I see sex as an umbrella. So it's not just penile vaginal penetration, but it's the playfulness that's between a couple and how they interact with one another and how they play. Communication goes without saying. Peggy in her study actually referenced the BDSM community and said that really helped people have good sex. Talking about consent. You know, we often learn now from pornography. If I open up a newspaper today, what I see is sexual abuse, pornography addiction, extreme pornography. We don't talk about pleasure. We don't talk about, when people are looking at pornography, there is no chat beforehand. What is good sex? What do you like? What don't you like? There's no check-ins. Does that feel good? Does that feel nice? What can make this better than what it is already? And there's no kind of intimacy, cuddling, holding, caressing, genuine love and affection. Genuine and authentic. Again, it comes back to that. I see so many people, so much of my work, when I start working with sexuality, I always want to check communication. Can these people be authentic? Is there no? There no. And I often use the analogy of, if I ask my friend to go to the cinema on Thursday night and my friend doesn't want to go, one of two things will happen. Either one, she'll cancel in the last 10 minutes, or two, she'll go and won't really want to be there. And I'll know that, and she'll avoid me for the next week or 2 weeks, rather than being able to say, actually, now's not a good time. How about we do the gym on Saturday morning, or how about we do something else on Sunday night? Taking risks, having fun, vulnerability and openness. Again, vulnerability ties back to that intimacy. I asked 1 or 2 people what they would like from this, takeaways from this talk today. And people said intimacy. How do I make that real connection with somebody? How can I see them? How can they open up to me? I want my man not to feel judged by me. And some people in our studies talked about transcendence and peace and healing. Another thing I see is differences in sex style. You know, if we go back to that for a moment, the connection is very different from a playfulness type of sex. Donald Mosher, just like we've got 5 love languages, you all know that, how we like to give and receive love. I see heads nodding. There's also sex styles. So Donald Mosher came up with 3 primary sex styles. 1, sensate focus work, where somebody almost goes into a trance. Their eyes close down, they focus on what feels good in their body, and those feelings increase to a point of involuntary muscle contraction and orgasm. The second style is emotional connection. Emotional connection people often want a good talk with their partner. They want, let's play a love language. Feed me my love language and I feel connected to you. We have a nice dinner, we have a nice talk, we have intimate conversation. I feel connected, it's an energetic connection. And the third style is role play. Not necessarily again about penetration, but it's the games that we play and how we play and the playfulness. Intimacy plays a very, very big part in it. And when I say intimacy, there's different types of intimacy. So you've got sexual intimacy on one hand, you've got intellectual intimacy. Can I share my ideas with somebody? Can I trust them? Do they have my back? You've got a spiritual intimacy and you've got an emotional intimacy. Can I be emotionally vulnerable with this person and are they not going to use it against me? So this study, Benari and Levy, looked at components of intimacy, and what's interesting is that a lot of it is similar to Peggy Kleinpax's work on good sex, making that connection between intimacy and good sex really important. So she looked at knowing your partner, the care, the commitment, mutuality, responsiveness. That responsiveness is really important when it comes to attachment theory. Anybody heard of attachment theory? Yeah? So there's child attachment theory and adult attachment theory. Childhood attachment theory, Mary Ainsworth did a bunch of experiments called the Strange Experiment. They had mum and baby in a room. Mum left the room and they looked at how baby reacted when mum came back into the room. So either 1, baby sulked and went quiet. Baby 2 threw a tantrum, why did you leave me? And got really upset. Baby 3 was upset for a little while, but then self-regulated, calmed down again. Oh, you're back, I love you, cuddle and relaxed. So they found that the same pattern can happen in adults. So what you have on one end of the scale is avoidant. I need space, I need time, I need freedom. Avoidant can often numb feelings. Avoidant can find it hard to get in touch with emotions and share those emotions. A real fear of being seen. Will you judge me? Will you hurt me if I open up to you? On the other hand, you've got ambivalent anxious. Needing a lot of external validation from the other person. Do you love me? How much do you love me? Tell me that you love me. Where are you going? Let's do everything together. This side can often be seen as a little bit needy. In the middle, you've got secure attachment. Secure attachment knows that I am enough. I am loved and I am lovable. I'm not dependent on somebody else to self-soothe me, to help me relax. Here, these guys, I feel comfortable enough to be vulnerable with you and to open up and to step into connection. It often shows up in conflict, which is something that, unfortunately couples wait 6 years after they're having struggles to come into couples therapy. Often couples come in and they're stuck in conflict. In conflict, my partner is an avoidant, so if my partner is upset about something, he keeps it in, and I can't tell. Everything's fine, she'll be right, mate, everything's good. 2 or 3 days later, you know that thing that happened on Sunday, babe, can we have a talk about that? I'm going, oh no, what thing? What thing? Me, on the other hand, I need to talk things through. So if something's happened, let's talk about it now, let's deal with it. I process it in the moment. In meetings, my partner will go into a meeting, sit there, take down notes, be quiet. After the meeting, go home, come up with all his solutions and come back in. I'm in a meeting thinking, throwing ideas out. The ideas might not make sense, but I'm just throwing out those ideas. When it comes to emails, so an email will come into my inbox, I need to deal with it immediately. I can't think about anything else but that email. My partner, it sits there. We don't have to do anything with it. Let's just be calm. Let's just wait. Yeah. Attachment style. You guys, there is a fourth one which jumps between both. I saw Ned's nodding and people smiling. Were you able to recognize connections between where you are and where your partner is? Yeah? Makes sense. Session 1, essential. So when a couple come in to me, I'm looking at body language all the time. I'm looking at what's the affect regulation. Anybody seen the still face experiment? Yeah? No. So they had baby, mum and baby. They had mum. Children are born with mirror neurons. So they're looking at mum, and mum is making a face, and baby smiling in response to that face. They did an experiment where mum was just still. Mum didn't respond to baby, and baby's looking for attention and screaming really high, because it's really distressing when my partner doesn't see me, when they don't respond to me, when they don't see that I'm upset. So I'm always looking for body language. Are these people attuned? So couples that are attuned will face each other. When one gets upset, somebody will put the other hand out to soothe in some way or calm the person. One person will smile and the other person will smile in response. Are their feet pointing towards one another? Are they pointing away? Who's looking at me and who's got their feet pointed towards their partner for connection? I'm looking for stressors in their relationship. House renovations, struggles with in-laws, problems with children, blended families are a big thing at the moment, financial stresses, what their work-life balance is. What else? And sexuality. I think it's really important to bring it up in the room. Is anybody on medication? It can be a good way to bring it up. Are you noticing any side effects of medication? Or how's everything in the bedroom? Don't be shy, ask the questions. If you ask the question in the intake form, they know that you're somebody that they can come to and talk to and ask that question, and you're comfortable with it. Very interesting. About a month ago, I came across a study done by Monash University in Melbourne. They found that they did a study on women, between 8,000 women, between 18 and 38 years of age. Studied 8,000 people, and they found 50% of those women had experienced or were experiencing female sexual distress. So there's a lot of it out there. working with sexuality, I'm always looking for a biopsychosocial model. I'm looking at all aspects of development. I'm just thinking about what to do next. I'm looking at time. Would you like to see a quick demo, yeah, of what I would do when a couple comes into the room? Anybody want to be demos? Yeah? So remember, my key goal is, you guys can sit. My key goal is I want to bring back connection. I'll just move you in a little bit closer if that's okay. There, you can sit here. So I'm looking for connection. It's like mum and baby. Couples wait 6 years to come into therapy after they've had a bad experience. There's a lot of damage that can be done in that 6 years. So I want to start repatterning the brain again to this is safety, this is relaxation. What people care about is, do you love me? Do you care about me? Yeah? So how are you guys?
Good.
Good. Relaxed?
Yes, super.
Ever been for couples counselling before? Can I get you to just move in a little bit? You're just very far away from each other.
Yeah,
Cool. Ever come for couples counselling before? This is your first time?
Yep.
Yeah? Okay. So how I typically start couple sessions is I want to do a bit of strengths finding. I want to resource. Before we go into the difficult conversations, I want to, tell me about how you guys met actually. Can you remember back to, yeah?
We met at Day with Destiny at Tony Robbins here in Australia.
Ah, yeah? And you saw, what's your name?
Eric.
Eric and
Francesca.
Eric, you saw Francesca first?
No, she saw me first.
Yeah? Do you remember what you felt when you saw Eric?
Well, I was talking on Facebook first.
Ah,
Yeah,
yeah?
yeah. I had a good feeling.
You did your homework?
Yeah. Well, we got introduced on Facebook and then we
Yeah.
met face to face.
What was that initial kind of, was there like an initial surge?
Yeah, I think we were friends for a bit before we fell in love with each other.
Yeah, for you? And what about for you, Eric?
Yeah, so we ended up just kind of getting to know each other slowly. It was really interesting because we ended up being really close friends and then ended up just naturally becoming, falling in love.
Yeah? Tell me about that falling in love feeling.
Well, for me, what happened is for his birthday, we went for dinner, and and he was like, "Oh, let's leave the phones away and let's be present." I was like, "Yes, I've got him."
Yeah? Be
Yeah.
present, that presence.
Yeah. When he said that, I was like, "Oh no, I'm in trouble." And then then we went for dinner, and he didn't have his phone, and yeah, it was a beautiful night. Yeah.
Yeah? What was that like for you?
So for me, it was about a week later. We went for her birthday. We were at the beach in Noosa, and we ended up just connecting. It was really, very, very romantic, and we ended up going out for dinner. I organized like a nice dinner, and we spent a lot of time together, just connecting and really being, I guess, again, present.
Nice. Can I get you guys to do a centering exercise? 'Cause
Yeah.
I want to get you present into your body. So you can just, put that on your center, safe, on your lap. That's all good. So just as you're looking at each other, I want you to both take a nice big deep breath in. Hold that for a moment or two and just let it go. That's it. Taking another nice big deep breath in. Holding it for a moment or two and just letting it go. That's it. And one more nice big deep breath in. Holding it for a moment or two and just letting it go. Now as you're looking at your partner, I want you to remember those feelings of what it was like when you first kind of felt those feelings of love. Where you felt love in your body. And I want you to remember a time where you gave love to your partner. Any outside noises just simply help you increase that feeling even more. You follow the sound of my voice, and my voice is always a source of safety and security. There's three things I'll always ask you to do. The first is to follow the sound of my voice. The second is to visualize or imagine. And the third is to feel your feelings, and this becomes easier and easier to do. Now just tuning into that feeling of love again, and wherever that might be in your body. I want you to imagine a dial. And turning up that dial. Perhaps you imagine that energy flowing from your heart to your partner's heart. In a moment, I'm going to count to 3, not yet, but when I reach the number 3, I want you to go back to a time where you felt incredible love, care, affection with your partner, without judging or analyzing. See what you saw, hear what you heard, and feel what you felt. 1, 2, and 3. And when you have that, I want you to share it now with your partner.
I was in Italy. We were outside the meditation together.
Tell me the narrative. Tell me the story I told myself. What was the thought?
I just saw the image.
Yeah? What did it look like? Oh, yeah.
I saw like in Italy on holiday, we had this beautiful moment in front of the water. We had the meditation, and it was really deep, and it was really beautiful. He knows. He was there.
Yeah? What's it like to hear that?
Even that moment, it was a pretty powerful moment for both of us. It was just beautiful to feel that immense love that was really early on in our relationship, and just that has been a pivotal moment of where we've continued moving on to bigger, greater, more love, more happiness. A lot of grace was in that moment. I can feel grace right now.
Yeah? Tell me more about that.
About grace? So Francesca's higher self is grace. And we always talk about how moments of love are created between the two of us in just strong present connection, and we tend to have a lot of those moments. And for me, it's always been powerful because when I feel grace, I feel like a ignition in my heart. It's like, and it comes out really powerfully. It's like this energy that I can't even express, and she feels that.
It's very cute. Twins have their own language in the womb. I can't remember the name of it. So we want to switch it around then, and one time where you felt loved by Francesca.
So, one time that I felt loved by Francesca is consistently and constantly. She's always giving me love.
What came up for you earlier on?
It's funny because I thought of us at Date with Destiny when we weren't really yet together, and I felt when I was on stage in front of everybody. It's like I go back to that moment and I felt the energy from that corner, and I knew that it was coming from you.
What was your internal thought, your narrative?
At the moment or right now?
No, in that moment, back when you first had that date in Destiny.
How can I be more loving and compassionate to everybody in the room? But I feel that when the more I speak about it now, the more I see that I was always pointing. I was going to that direction of the room where she was sitting. So it's like this unguided force that was pulling me over there. And I knew that that love was coming from her. Actually, it honestly probably came the first moment I saw her. I remember her looking at me like this.
What's your hope for the future? Why come into a couples session today?
Why not? Because the future is beautiful and it's definitely together.
Yeah. If I was to ask you if there's anything that can make your relationship better than what it is already,
Are you asking me?
Mm-hmm.
What could it be better?
Mm-hmm. Maybe you want to just close your eyes down for a moment again. Yes. Now I want you to imagine a bubble around each one of you individually. This is your own beautiful bubble. I want you to see if there's anything that needs to be cleaned in that bubble or taken out of that bubble. Maybe there's something that needs to be brought into that bubble. Maybe it's a symbol or an object or something else. Now I want you to imagine a bubble around the both of you, because you've each got your individual bubble and you've also got a bigger bubble. And maybe there's something that needs to be brought into that bubble. Or maybe there's something that needs to be removed from that bubble. To make your relationship better than what it is already. I just want you to open your eyes and share. So Eric started the last time, so I might ask Francesca.
We do a lot of mindset work, and we do a lot of work separately and then together. And so we both believe that the more we work on ourselves, the more the relationship get better.
Yep.
So I can see a lot of things that I can improve, and that will improve the relationship, because I believe that I can't control what he does, but I can control what I do. So there is lots of things that I can improve. Like, do you want me to tell you one of them?
What about the couple as a whole? If we had longer time on individual session, definitely I'd go there. What about the couple as a whole?
Maybe like we could dedicate a little bit more time for ourselves and less work. He made a beautiful effort last week, took me for a date, and we used to have a date every week. We haven't done that for a while, so maybe that could be something that we can start again.
Yeah.
Yeah, a weekly date on our Friday night.
What about for you, Eric? Anything come up?
I think making a conscious effort that when we're having dinner, that we're being present. Not on our phones. I do it too. Yeah, so we both do it. It's not like one or the other, but I think just being more like when that dinner time is our time. Phones are shut off or put away or whatever.
Nice.
I love it. I mean, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm aware of the time, so I'm just to finish up, I want you to kind of tune back into that heart space again. Yeah? And I want you to think about, just to wrap up, something that I appreciate about my partner. A characteristic, a trait, or a behavior. And then a particular time where I saw that. So we started with Francesca the last time, so we might start with Eric this time.
So one thing among many that I love about Francesca is that her constant hunger for growth, her ambition.
One particular time where I felt, saw, noticed.
So one particular time that I felt so noticed is when you took the next step for getting that amazing mentor in the US. That's just helped both of us as a byproduct. I love it. Because that helps me grow too.
What about her?
I love everything, but the most thing is it makes me feel safe a lot. And I used to not trust men, and he's so present all the time that it makes me feel safe.
Was there a particular time you felt safe?
All the time, but yeah, I had a nightmare last night, and it was so, he hugged me this morning, and I felt safe.
I think I want to cry now. Yes. Thank you guys so much for sharing today. What was that experience like for the both of you?
For me, this is obviously being vulnerable in front of a bunch of people is different. But I feel like we communicate like this a lot. But this is a whole new element because there's people watching. So it gives you an opportunity to actually genuinely forget about what's here and even practice more presence. So presence is a big thing. It's always been, and I think that sometimes I can be too present because I can just be focused on one person. Even in our business, when people try to get my attention or whatever, it's I'm completely focused on that one conversation. But I think that this is really unique because it gives you that ability to genuinely be vulnerable and connect. But yeah, I love it.
Awesome.
I love this because this is what happened when I fell in love with him at the first dinner. Yeah, I've never felt connected like this with anybody, and that's what made me.
The connection that you're feeling right now.
Yeah, we do this a lot of the time, but I think that, I don't know, this was quite special.
Yeah, it was like it was back at that first date.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. You guys are such a beautiful couple.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing with me today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
So what did you guys notice about that? Any feedback from you guys?
I think what I noticed was about you.
Yep.
There was this beautiful neutrality. You were there to facilitate, and your observation skills are so heightened. Watching when Francesca was speaking, you were watching Eric's reaction, and vice versa. The intensity of that was, I'm so overwhelmed. It was the most beautiful thing I've seen in a very long time. And thank you for that privilege. But you, as what you did there, even though you were in the background, it was orchestral. It was just mind-blowing. Thank you very much for demonstrating that. It was just beautiful. I'm sort of overwhelmed. I usually can talk a lot, but I'm going to stop now because I need to process it. But it was absolutely magical to watch you do that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's something I'm really conscious of. So I'm not just, and that's exactly what I'm doing all the time in couples therapy. It's about the bubble. So I sit back to make sure the connection is about them. If they're starting to look at me, not only am I looking at his reaction, but my eyes are actually guiding her on where to go. I want you looking at your husband. I don't want you looking at me. This is about the bubble between both of you. Yeah.
Yeah, that was really amazing. Obviously, though, the two that were out were used to being present with each other and things like that.
Yeah.
Do you often, like when you get I don't know, everyday couples coming in, is it a lot harder work to get into that level? Like you probably went 6 sessions into it straight away. Like.
So for me, I'd have chairs facing me for couples that are in conflict, and I'd catch the bullets. Often there's so many resentments built up, a man will go, or somebody will go, you didn't, blah, blah, blah. And that's where I go into Gottman stuff. Because there's, I don't have time to go into it now, but there's often criticism and contempt and judgments. But I go, hang on a second, what's under that? And what you really want is to feel loved, or to feel cared about, or do you care about me? And he'll go, yeah. You know, just reframing it. It softens. Because often for masculine energies, coming to counselling is pretty scary, right? Men are often socialised on the playground that if you cry or show emotions, you're weak or you're a wuss or all these kind of names. So it can be a scary place to open up. Am I going to be judged? Yeah. Yeah. I think that's about our time for today. Thank you all very much for coming. I really appreciate it. It was great to meet you all, and thank you to my beautiful couple.